All right, Kipster. So you should already had some time to work this problem yourself. Just to talk about what this problem is, give me 1 second because my dogs are barking. Sorry about that, Kipsters. All right, let's get right into it. So you're given the comparison, -9 is less than -2. We want to pick the statement which would describe the inequality. Now, we know this is correct because if you look at your number line on top, -9 is to the left of -2, and we know that as you go to the left of your number line, things get smaller, or as you go to the right, they get bigger. So -9 is definitely smaller than -2. You can also use your absolute value reasoning. -2 has a smaller absolute value because it's closer to 0, which makes it a bigger number when we talk about our negative side. Just a reminder that when you go to the positive side, you want to flip that understanding. It doesn't really apply to positives, only to negatives. So let's look at our answer choices. And as we're going through it, we're going to be talking about whether that makes sense based on what we see on our number line and based on what we know about absolute value. So let's look at A. It says -9 degrees Fahrenheit is warmer than -2 degrees. Warmer than -2 degrees. Well, that's interesting because you look at your number line, we know that the further away from 0 when it comes to temperature, the colder it is. So it doesn't make any sense that -9 degrees would be warmer because -2 is actually closer to 0, which would make it warmer. So A doesn't make any sense. Let's look at B. A person at a depth of 9 feet is lower than a person at a depth of 2 feet. Or depth is just how low you are or how far beneath the water you are. And to do this comparison correctly, I'm going to go ahead and just make a small vertical number line. We're going to pretend this is 0. Based on what we know here, -2 is closer to 0, -9 is further away. This is not exact, but it's just going to give us a good idea. So it says a person at a depth of 9 feet is lower than a person at a depth of 2 feet. Well, if I look at it here, if this is one person, yeah, if you're at 9 feet or -9 feet at a depth of -9 feet, you are definitely lower than a person who's at a depth of -2 feet. So this is a maybe. Let's go on to C. We're going to keep that in mind. That might be correct. There might be one that does a little bit better job of representing this inequality. But for now, B is our best choice. Let's look at C. 9 feet below sea level is higher than 2 feet below sea level. Let's look at this again. 9 feet below sea level is higher than 2 feet below sea level. Well, if we look at this here again, if 0 is sea level, 9 feet below sea level isn't higher than -2 feet or 2 feet below sea level. So this doesn't make any sense either. A $9 debt is lesser than a debt of $2. Oh, I read that wrong. A $9 debt is lesser debt than a $2 debt. Well, remember, debt just means that you owe money. Do you owe less money if you owe $9 compared to $2? No, you actually owe more when you owe $9. $2 would be nice. That's actually a good debt. $9 kind of a lot. So D doesn't make any sense. So our only logical choice is B, and hopefully that's what you got. Remember, as I went through this, I was using my understanding of number lines. I was looking at what it was telling me in context, comparing it to what my number lines were already telling me to see if it made sense. There might be some issue in terms of the wording. Remember, a debt just means that you owe money. Elevation talks about how high or how low you are. Degrees or Fahrenheit talking about temperature, as well as, we're talking about sea level. We're talking about sea level at 0. Anything above that is a positive, anything below that is a negative. So as long as you use everything we've been learning up to this point and you make sense of what it's telling you, you should be able to correctly choose the right answer choice, just like I did there. So follow the steps, look at every answer choice, ask yourself, does it make sense? Use your understanding of number lines or absolute value to explain it. I explained why every single one doesn't work. And as you're going through this in your head, you should be thinking, does this make sense based on what I know about number lines and absolute value? And if it doesn't, it's not an answer choice that you want to choose. All right, at this point, you'll be getting ready to do your independent practice. Best of luck with that. And once again, make sure you're completing all the work before you get into iReady.